Another day in the NBA here, and this should be a short one. Only 3 games today. The work begins as it always does here on the Splash Play channel. We're today going to compare my projections to one of the industry leaders out there, our friends over at Stokastic. We'll see the top plays are, who the top value plays are. We'll also go game by game exhaustingly through all 3 games. We'll check the ownership along the way. We'll hop over to Stokastic, run a sim, see what the top lineups are. I'll do a hand build. And by the end of this video, guys, you'll know all of the industry's must plays along with my Splash Plays for today, February 23rd, 2026. Let's get into it. Snowy times here in the greater Philadelphia area. Though not bad snow. I feel like it shoveled pretty well. Good snowmen were built this morning. Kids off school though, so it's been a lot of parenting today, a lot of wrestling in particular today for me with my child, not in general, not with other oiled up men in the snow, though I guess that could be, that's one way to spend your time as well. The work goes on here, and frankly, Saturday, you guys, no Splash Play show on Saturday. I did put the date out. Had an awful Saturday. I've had so many good slates lately. Actually mentioned in the Discord. Been feeling really good about how the 100,000 sims are running at splashplaypodcast.com has been helping my process. And oh my God, Saturday was the worst. So I'm ready to dust myself off, get into this new slate. Even though, again, it's only 3 games, so we will not have a lot of things hidden on this slate. But it starts today. Again, a very obvious play. Cade Cunningham, a guy who has been very important on slates lately, in particular that game against the Knicks a little while ago. 10.5 salary today, the only player on the slate with over a 50.5 point projection. Let me pull in Stokastic numbers as well. My projection today is at 50.5. Stokastic has him a little bit higher at 53.9. Pistons still down Isaiah Stewart, so maybe a little bit of a boost for Cade, I suppose, for that. I didn't change the rates for Pistons myself. That said, for Cade here, 55% owned by the field. He's in 39% of my winning lineups across those 100,000 contest sims. For Cade, a player that we know has a ceiling. We also know that he's a guy that a lot of people will be getting to on the slate with 55% ownership. And whenever that is the case where people are going to be building a certain way, I think, certainly looking at Wembanyama being so much less owned, about half as much ownership in the same game could be appealing. But Cade, obviously the usage has been there. The opportunity has been there for him overall. He has, really one of the highest overall opportunities in the league between the usage rate and the assist rate. So hard for me to critique Cade, but right now, he does look like a player that seems over-owned in my data, even though it's really hard to critique a guy that's the only player over 50 fantasy points on the slate. Only got 6 inches in Delaware. They said 18 inches. That's what she said. Yeah, one of my friends in Pittsburgh, one of my closest friends, and they only got a couple inches as well, which, Pennsylvania is like a very big state. So comparing the Philadelphia area to the Pittsburgh area is, a pretty big jump. But yeah, we got, I think, just shy of 18 inches. So we got a lot here. But, it's fine. You got it cleaned up pretty easily. That's all you got to ask. Victor Wembanyama, 10.7 salary for him, 48.7 projection for me. Stokastic has been 49.7. Wemby right now, 28% owned by the field in Stokastic's data. I've been 19% of my winning lineup. So right now, my assumption in the data is that I'm getting more balanced builds, not getting over the field on Cade or Wemby at this point. Now, my actual set of lineups real fast is checking it in parallel to make sure I'm not talking entirely out of my ass. In an actual set of 30 lineups I pulled before the show, was getting Cade at 30%, getting Wemby at 10%. So yeah, I would be low on these guys, not just in terms of how often they make a winning lineup across 100,000 contest sims, but also in terms of I would actually play it, for a 20 max and putting 10 entries in the big tournament. So Wemby, I think much like Cade, big ceiling here. That said, it is a game where we are expecting the defense to be fairly tight. These are 2 teams that play above league average. Pistons on the year giving up only 109.1 points per 100. We're talking about that being right behind the top tier of teams like the Thunder, and the Spurs giving up 111.6 points in terms of per run possession numbers. So for how it looks right now for these guys, like Cade and Wemby, I get why you would go there a bunch. You have to spend your money somewhere on the slate. But I do think, trying out Şengün more. We'll talk about him in a moment. Really, I guess my case might be making just the Houston guys more of a priority overall based on the data. I get it for Cade and Wemby, get why they're so highly owned. And I would say if I were to choose one, I'd probably go Wemby at half the ownership. But I think the field's probably going to play these guys together to some amount. If they're not, they're playing at least one of them. That makes them slightly more appealing to me just in terms of the game theory and trying to find somebody else who could spike on a 3-game slate. The field's going to go in one direction. Alperen Şengün at number 3. So the projection is a good bit behind Cade and Wemby. That said, because he's at a 44.5 projection and only a 9K salary, I have him as a 4.9x value. In comparison, I've got Cade at 4.8, Wemby at 4.6. Şengün, though, also not unowned in the slate. And there's going to be nobody unowned really in a 3-gamer. But Şengün, 50% owned by the field. He is coming up in 55% of my winning lineups across that 100,000 contest sims. I have no issue with Şengün going against Utah. The big thing for Şengün has just been, Durant, I feel like pressing his usage a little bit more since the burner situation for him, Burner Gate. Here we go. Isaac saying Burner Gate as well. Doesn't seem to have motivated Alpern. Yeah, so that's what I was going to say here. It seems like it's motivated KD. I don't think it's motivated Şengün. And that was one of the things for Şengün. We talked about it when right before the All-Star, right after the All-Star break, rather, right when this stuff broke before the Rockets' first game. My assumption was that, you would see Şengün maybe come out a little more aggressive or, completely wilt. And I would say based on what you've seen so far, and let's go to add more funds real fast. It's a 3-game slate, so we can take the time here. I won't take the time to debate Cade Cunningham versus LaMelo Ball like my good friend Josh Engelman did this morning, which I respect on a 3-game slate. Just talk about whatever you want. But let's talk about the Rockets here and what they've been doing lately, and let's overlay DK points. So Şengün last game, 31% usage. He was a -6, only 36 DK points rather, playing against the Knicks. So he got shots up, he just sucked. The game before that, which is the first one after the All-Star break, this is where his usage was down a little bit. 26% usage. Durant also at 26, but again, only 33 fantasy points. I mean, I would say based on these last 2 games, the fact that Şengün got up 31% usage, it'll get better for him, I think. But frankly, for Şengün, he might be suffering a little bit from the fact that KD, especially in that first game, was rebounding a little bit more, was assisting a little bit more. I think anything that kind of takes any extra peripherals away from Şengün, it does hurt his upside a little bit. But look, I like Şengün. I do think the field being 50% there, again, not a sneaky play by any stretch, but power forward center, good positionality there to not have to give up just your center spot. I don't mind Şengün here, and I would think that it's going to get better for him. But yeah, I mean, look, if Durant keeps kind of pressing his role a little bit more, it hurts Şengün. But the fact that he got, the shots up above 30% again, usage rate above 30% again, rather, I think Şengün, to me, still, I would expect him to have more upside. But Durant rebounding more, creating more playmaking opportunities for himself, not things that help Şengün out. So maybe you just don't play Şengün and Durant together, I guess, is one way to look at it. Durant here, about a 4.5x value for paper on me, or on paper for me, rather. That said, for Durant, 34% owned by the field. I'm pretty much holding hands to that at 32% across my 100,000 contest sims. I think for Durant, a solid play here at 8,900, a little bit cheaper than Cade and Wemby again. I mean, look, my instincts seem to feel like just playing not Cade and Wemby as much, play more of the Houston guys at a spot where they have a good total going against Utah. I support that, but I don't know that I'm going to feel comfortable loading up on Houston here. I do think that's the build you get, though, if you don't play Cade or Wemby. So Durant coming up a good amount here, less than Şengün. Again, Şengün at 55% in my winning lineups, Durant at 32, but still both guys coming up in about a 30-year lineups no matter what. Amin Thompson right behind him, 12% owned by the field. I got him at 22. At 8,200, the upside's there, facing a Utah team that would prefer not to win if it can, even though they certainly are playing well enough lately that they can win games. Probably not against Houston, probably not in a spot as well, where they are currently a 13.5-point dog on the road. And really bad total as well, 107.5 implied points. So we're expecting Houston to do well here. For a guy like Amin Thompson, that could mean more turnovers going his way. And that's where Amin starts to hit the ceiling a little bit more, playing a bad defense where his usage can carry him further because he's such a terrible shot maker. Being able to score against Utah and then also getting some potential, for higher upside on turnovers. I think that makes Amin Thompson, to me, ownership-wise, he's the least compelling play for the field, but I think at 12% owned, he's the kind of guy that could break a slate. So I'm happy to get Amin Thompson 2x the field right now. Field's only playing him at 12%. Maxime Reynaud. So this is something where I really, and I've been saying it lately, and it's hard for anybody who's making data this time of year, so I get it. But I've never thought more about making my own minutes projections lately because I love using Stokastic's minutes because it speeds up my process a lot. I just have to worry about getting the rates right and all that without having to tinkering with the minute stuff. But I've really disagreed with their minutes in a few spots lately, and for Reynaud, it's starting it up again for me. Let's go to Sacramento real fast. And it's not the most important for Reynaud because, I think his minutes will be pretty close to what Stokastic is giving you. But right now, they're giving you Devin Carter a bunch, and I don't know what the Kings are doing is really the main thing here. So last game for the Kings. And this was after Adam Silver's call with the teams about tanking. The key takeaway from that call, if you missed the Athletic article, was basically that Adam Silver was telling them, like, you're not going to have any reason to not want to win next year. But the sort of implication from it was that even though he's kind of browbeating those guys, he kind of understands that they're going to do whatever they're going to do this year. And it's not going to, like, he's going to find teams and whatever. And yeah, there's some potential for them to lose picks, but probably not the first round pick. It seems like they're sort of like, okay, do this a certain way and it'll be fine. You won't get in trouble. But it did jump out to me that that call happens. And all of a sudden you have the Kings playing guys a lot more. DeMar DeRozan in this game played 34 minutes, and that's without playing the last few minutes of the fourth quarter. Westbrook didn't play a lot more, still played only 21 minutes, and didn't close out either. But I think at that point they were behind enough. Keegan Murray played 35 minutes here, also without closing. Raynaud played 26 minutes without closing here. I don't know how that results in Stokastic giving Raynaud right now the 34.7 minutes they're giving him. But the point is that the Kings are willing to play some guys at least, a good amount of depth. And that's something where Maxime Raynaud could be a player that benefits from that. So right now it's 55% ownership for Raynaud. I'm getting 64. I think no matter what, the 34.7 minutes is a bit too aggressive. And if I were making my own minutes for this stuff, I would knock it down. My assumption is going to be that Stokastic knocks it down naturally as the day goes on. But Raynaud played really well in that game. So like the fact that he's, playing well, I think is the reason you get to him. But I just can't expect him to play 35 minutes. Like it feels like an incredible amount. In a tank-off game, too, like I feel like Raynaud's one of their better players for as much as that means on Sacramento. So he's a top projected guy for me right now, and also a top value is a 5.9x value. So that's a hard thing to avoid him. But the Kings are really doing weird stuff. Like in this last game, too, real fast. We're going to talk about Devin Carter when we get to value. Devin Carter didn't play this last game until it was blowout time. He played the last 5.5 minutes, but didn't touch the court in the first half, didn't touch the court in the third quarter. And they had Monk available, had Westbrook playing the limited minutes. So it looks different for Sacramento is like the main thing that I would try to take away from what I'm telling you guys right now. And I just don't know what that means. And I've talked about a lot on stream, like the tanking stuff this year and how early it started makes it, to me, A, less enjoyable to like just get through every slate, but B, it's just like hard to parse out what every team's doing on a given day. For Sacramento, that last game, like they could have been letting these guys play more because of the fact that like it was a game they weren't going to win anyway against the Spurs. But then the game before that, they were playing also these guys less minutes against Orlando. So I just don't know what the Kings are doing. It's like the main thing I'm going to say here. I know it's not going to help you out the most, but it's like, I think there's volatility in what the Kings are doing and what the assumptions people make off of it. And because this only 3-game slate, there's only 6 teams, you're going to play Sacramento. The field's going to play Sacramento a decent amount. And you want to be careful about, I think, not going nuts on anybody on Sacramento is how I feel about it. But Raynaud right now, projection-wise, getting 35.8 from me, 35.2 for Stokastic, 5.9x value. He looks like an awesome play. I just think there's some underlying assumptions that I'm not sold on. Jalen Duren, 28 minutes from Stokastic right now, gets about a 35.8 projection for me, 36.3 from Stokastic. Right now it's Duren and Paul Reed splitting minutes. It was about 19 and change from Paul Reed last game, and Duren played all the rest that he didn't play. For Duren, I think the fact that the Pistons like Paul Reed again after falling out of love with him for a little bit, I think is not a great thing for him. That said, Beef still be back in at some point, so they'll knock Paul Reed back down when that happens. For Jalen Duren, going against the Spurs, not my favorite matchup in the world for him. 24% owned by the field. I have him at 19%. Duren's one of those guys usually pops up more in my data, so the fact that he's 0.5 lower than Stokastic, I think it's not a great thing for how I would view it, because my data normally favors him and he looks bad in my data today. That sort of makes me want to go under on him. But, I'm getting that naturally, so I don't want to be out on anybody really who has an upside in the slate. It's only a 3-gamer. Generally, one of the ways we want to play DFS, no matter what the situation is. But I think for Duren here, just don't think it's a spot that, is screaming out to me here. And if it were, I think my data would say that. And the last guy in the group, which again speaks to how bad the slate is, 8K Isaiah Collier, 34.8 projection. Stokastic has meant 33.8. Keontae George is a Q tag right now for Utah. If he were out, you'd get Collier looking a little bit better. But Collier facing Houston, and he really has been the same place since they got another point guard in Vince Williams, and they're not playing Collier endlessly. So I'm not crazy about Collier here, but frankly, I keep watching Jazz games. Like, he really looks good, and he's one of those guys at USC like I wasn't wowed by. But I think for Collier, it's going to get better. Guys, one quick run through plugs here for things. First of all, hit that like button, subscribe. Again, goes a long way for me here, no matter what's going on YouTube. You guys hitting the like button in a major way lately has helped me get all the videos above 2K views over the last couple weeks. So please keep doing that. I know it's a shitty slate here, probably less people playing NBA DFS than usual on a Monday, but I'm still showing up doing the work here as I always do Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. So please do hit that like button and please subscribe down below. And of course, check out Stokastic. You can see their data on screen. Of course, they generously allow me to show you this stuff as part of my process here on stream, but it does update as the day goes on. So check it out for yourself with 15% off using the promo code SPLASH over at Stokastic. So check it out for yourself. And last but not least, out of this plug round, check out splashplaypodcast.com, my site. All the things you're seeing here on screen, you're seeing an early version at 2 p.m., but they update as the night goes on. I'm updating whenever there's anything that goes on in terms of Vegas totals moving, guys and starting lineups that weren't expected, things like that. Even after lock, doing the same thing whenever it's necessary. So Monday to Saturday, doing projections on splashplaypodcast.com, and you're getting good data, frankly, for cheaper than anybody else out there as well, because of the fact it's just me doing stuff, and I don't do it on Sundays. So check it out. Link down below, splashplaypodcast.com, and save money on there by going through the site itself, paying me directly as opposed to going through YouTube. But you still can go through YouTube if you want, just I don't think it's ever been the most logical for your guys' money and mine too. I have to give half the money you guys pay to YouTube. So now go through splashplaypodcast.com if you can. But if you want to pay more just for the ease of going through YouTube/Apple, knock yourself out. I just don't want you guys to get killed on money if you don't have to. All right, top value plays. So again, I vigorously disagree here with giving Devin Carter 30.9 minutes when he just didn't play last game. And we're in the same situation again for Sacramento. Yeah, Zach LaVine still out. He's going to be out for the year. Domantas Sabonis is going to be out for the year. We get that. But we just saw DeRozan play, 35 minutes. We saw Westbrook come back in, and he could have played more if they wanted to close that game out with these starters. I don't know why they brought these guys in for a minute. And Westbrook in particular brought him in for a minute and a half, took him back off. But they might have played him more. You still have Malik Monk back in. The reason that Carter is playing so much as well a couple games ago is because Monk wasn't in. I just don't buy that Devin Carter plays 30.9 minutes. And I love Devin Carter in my data. So it's a really important thing for me to call this out now that I just don't think this is where the data should be. That said, with Stokastic giving him 30.9 minutes, which to me feels like an impossibility for him to play. I have been a 33.7 projection. It gets him to 62% of my lineups, but I just don't think it's correct. So I watch this updating as the day goes on Stokastic's minutes, and then, my data will update as well. But really, it frustrates me because this really changes the way that the slate looks in my data right now. So give Devin Carter 31 minutes. And I just don't see there's any world where he's going to play that with what the Kings did, last time out. And it's a tank game today because you have, two shitty teams playing. So I get how that would impact things, but I just don't think Devin Carter plays 30 no matter what the situation is, unless he's starting. And I don't see how he would start. Maxime Reynaud, again, similar thing here. He's the top projected guys. He's also the top values. I don't see how he plays 35 minutes here. So right now he's coming up at 64% of my lineups. Devin Carter's at 62. I would expect these numbers to come down. And if Stokastic doesn't move their minutes, I'll probably cap him with the field, I guess. I mean, for Carter, I would be willing to take maybe 25%. For Reynaud, I think he'll play, mid-20s minutes, but 35 makes him look like an entirely different play. And I just don't think you want to be this heavy on Reynaud, the field's ownership, or what I'm getting right now. Walter Clayton. So we got AJ here talk about Ty Jerome. Jerome announced his illness. Yeah, he got downgraded to questionable for an illness. For Ty Jerome, the upside for him is that he played over 22 minutes last game. So played his 5 minutes in the first quarter, 5 the second, 5 the third, then played, I think, 7 and change to start the fourth quarter. So his minutes are going up. That's a positive. The bad part for Ty Jerome, and he would have smashed even more last game if it weren't for Walter Clayton hogging. And again, I know I don't expect you guys to watch every basketball game. My job is to show up here as prepared as I can, having watched some of the dog shit teams so I can talk about the stuff. Ty Jerome just got every possession in the first stint he had entirely gobbled up by Walter Clayton. Clayton kept taking everything, trying to create assists, fucking up a few times, got a few bad shots up as well. For Ty Jerome, the situation's getting pretty tight for him. That said, I think he'll still be playable, but he's another one to watch out for here. Clayton, though, I think the fact that he is in gunner mode, Clayton was a guy that got a lot of shots up. I believe he was a Florida guy, right? Got a lot of shots up in college. At previous points in Utah this year when you've had, the skeleton crew Jazz teams, Walter Clayton also pushed his usage up about, 30%. So Clayton, I think, views himself as like a legit guy that should get shots up, but I don't think it's good for the Memphis situation that you have Walter Clayton. Again, that first quarter, he was like not even looking Ty Jerome's way, and Ty Jerome was just out there on the wing like, hey, like kind of waving his arms because usually they'll restart the offense. Like Ty Jerome's killing it this year. He's got 1.6 fantasy points per minute because he's either generating usage or assists off of like every possession, basically. It was just like not looking for him. So that's a good thing for Clayton as a value at 4,300. If Ty Jerome is out, it'll look even better for Clayton. It would also look better for Pippen, though. I'm not sure how high Pippen will climb because I think he would still play off the bench. Javon Small would benefit a little bit. But like the weird thing with Memphis right now is they're all point guards. So getting Ty Jerome out would help out a lot. But my guess is that Clayton's going to be the one who like really presses his opportunity the most. I think Javon Small is the best fantasy asset right now, but he's going to be blocked by Clayton to some extent because Clayton's a guy with somewhat more legit draft capital, I believe. But Clayton's an important play today at 4,300. 3-game slate. He's one of the better values. Fields at 48%. I'm at 41.5. And again, I'd rather have Ty Jerome get every possession. If he plays, that's a risk for Walter Clayton. But I will just say, like, eyeball test watching that last game, Walter Clayton was really out for Walter Clayton more than anything else, which is what happens sometimes when you're in these situations for tanking teams. Javon Small, right behind him, $3,800 salary, only getting 22 minutes from Stokastic as opposed to 30 from Walter Clayton. And for Clayton, real fast, let me check the minutes from last game. So I do forget what he played on Saturday. Clayton played 25 and a half minutes. Theoretically could have gotten one more stint here if the game wasn't total blowout. There's no guarantee he gets another stint, though. Yeah, and anyway, I think they played these guys because the game was actually close enough and they didn't want them to win. But Walter Clayton could theoretically play closer to 30 minutes. I don't know if you want to assume that he's going to play 30, like Stokastic is right now. For Javon Small getting 25 minutes, that feels a little bit better. So Javon Small got 25 last game, Stokastic giving him 22. Clayton getting 25 and change last game, Stokastic giving him 30. I really think they're going to tighten their minutes up because, like, there's a lot of things that as we go through, and you probably are catching as we're talking about it, it just seems a little bit off, like across the board. So if I had to guess, Small might look like a better value. Clayton might look like a slightly worse value. And they're both totally valid because they're playing Sacramento. So Javon Small, 44% owned by the field. Clayton at 48. I do have Small making my winning lineups less, making only 28% of the 100,000 contest sims I ran. Clayton's only is making 42%. But I'm under the field on both guys. I do think, though, they are your better values on the slate because we just don't have any good value right now. Ty Jerome at 6K. Also, technically a better value on the slate. Again, the minutes feel a little bit light to me. Seems like they're slightly increasing him. And he also seems like he can play more than the 5-minute stints they're giving him because when he got in foul, he had a foul basically at like the 7-minute mark, one of those stints last game out. And he didn't look to come out. They just took him out because like he drew the foul at 7:02, I think is what it was. So his minutes limit's probably like 22 would be my guess now, maybe 23. So Ty Jerome getting 19 minutes here still looks like a top value. If he plays, I think you want to be there. Fields at 30%. I'm getting 45. Of course, I am one of the most foremost Ty Jerome fans in the world. He's made a lot of money for me last year on the Cavs when nobody's playing him off the bench. This year for the Grizzlies, like he's been awesome as well. But, you know, there are some wins blown against him in as much as he is still minutes limited, even if it's 22. That's not a great, he's not going to hit a ceiling of 30, which is really where we'd want to get minutes wise. And then you have Clayton now in the starting group, potentially gunning for his opportunity. That's not great. But it being a 3-game slate, if he plays, that'll probably cut the ownership down for him having a Q tag all day. So I will be with the field on Ty Jerome at the least today if he goes. And if he doesn't go, Clayton looks better. Small looks better. Really, the Grizzlies writ large look better because Ty Jerome's doing everything right now for this team. Reed Shepherd, 25% of the field. I'm getting 32. Facing Utah helps him out a little bit as a guy that's not guaranteed all the minutes in the world, but at 4,700, should have a higher ceiling, should be easier to hit more shots. My projection's at 26. Stokastic's at 24.9, so not quite as big of a gap as I had in favor of Ty Jerome, where I was at 33.3. Stokastic at 30.1 there, but a big enough lean for Reed Shepherd that I'm happy to be above the field. He's in 32% of my winning lineups right now. Fields at 25, and really for a game like this for Houston, a guy like Reed Shepherd scoring more off the bench, certainly one of the things I would say is more likely because of the fact they're playing Utah with a good total today on a 3-game slate. Paul Reed, another guy here, I think is getting a few too many minutes, from Stokastic. Right now, Stokastic giving him 22 minutes. I think it should be more like if you're giving Jalen Duren 28, Paul Reed should be getting 20 flat. They're not going to play a minute together, basically. But Paul Reed right now, with a 22-minute projection, gets about a 27.5 fantasy point projection for me and 27 from Stokastic. Looks like a good value. That said, if you shave 2 minutes off, think that goes away to some extent. So Paul Reed, not quite as good of a value as your Memphis guards, but I guess more certainty to him. And as much as like he's going to be your backup center, he'll play whatever minutes Jalen Duren doesn't play. If Jalen Duren somehow gets in foul trouble against Wemby, which is certainly a possibility, Paul Reed probably gets a few more minutes. So Fields at 12% right now. I'm getting 19. Not big stands on Paul Reed. And I think the projection and minutes come down, but still a decent play. And certainly one as well. I don't think Duren's going to be mega owned or anything, but he's leverage against Duren for sure. Omax, the guy in the thumbnail. Minutes have come down a little bit for him in Stokastic's data. That said, 36.4% ownership for the field. I have him at 44. Omax has been an important play. A lot of slates lately. Didn't hit on Saturday, but was great on Friday. Was a guy we talked about at great length. Big thing is that because you don't have Santi Aldama in, his minutes sort of have to be reliable no matter what for Omax. He's been an okay producer on the year, I think around 0.9 fantasy points per minute at this point, getting about high 20s minutes at 0.9. If he hits the ceiling per minute, he really can be a player you absolutely need. And even if he doesn't hit the ceiling at 4,600, he might be a value you need. So Omax right now, again, over the field on him, 36%. I'm at 44, but he's not quite as much of a value at 4,600. Relative to the slate, though, still a good value. We're going to go game by game here. We got our guy Chunk, who misses Omax in the Mavs. I mean, he's honestly evolved into a better player on the Grizzlies, I think, than he was in the Mavs, but he is a hustle guy, and yeah, the Mavs could probably use a few more hustle guys at this point. We're going to go game by game here, guys. Before we do that, one more ask. Please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Of course, I'm showing up here doing the work Monday to Fridays at 2 p.m., no matter what the slate looks like. And look, today, the kid's home from daycare. I could have not shown up today, but number one, I make money doing this. So that helps. Number two is I make my promise to you guys. I'd be here every day, Monday to Friday at 2 p.m., showing you the work until the NBA Finals. That's what we're doing here on the channel. MLB coming up soon as well. Similar commitments going to be coming up for me too. So join the journey here. Hit the like button and subscribe. And it does go a long way for me fighting that YouTube algorithm, which is always a battle for small-time creators like me. Check out Stokastic as well. All the stuff you're seeing on screen from them. It does get updated as the day goes on. So 15% off with the promo code SPLASH. Check it out. Link down below. And of course, any package on there, weekly, monthly, even yearly, it's all 15% off. So take advantage of that if you can. It's the best deal they have going right now for all their DFS products. And last but not least, in fact, some could say most important, go check out splashplaypodcast.com. That's my site. All the stuff I show you here on screen can be yours. And really the big thing that you are missing out on, even if you're taking screenshots or whatever at 2 p.m. is these things update. I rerun sims over and over and over again as data updates because that's sort of what the process looks like and it should look like for anything you do NBA DFS wise. But if you're just here watching the video, that's great. Shout out to all you guys that have a lot of success just watching the video for free. Get in the mix, get my data updated throughout the night at splashplaypodcast.com. And I don't think you're going to regret it. If nothing else, getting the perspective of the Sims and my data will give you a read on how to build your lineups. And if you're a hand builder or a person 150 maxing, join down below and do that. And does support the show too. Hopefully, somewhat obviously. All right, Spurs at Detroit, game by game. We got Wemby being the top owned guy in the Spurs, 28% for the field. Again, I'm low on him. Feel like we've talked enough about it. Ownership going to congregate around Cade and Wemby, but frankly, feel like you can build a more balanced team, and that would be fine to not play those guys. So for Wemby, Fields at 28, I'm at 19. You want to have some access there, but I don't think he's a player to load up on the slate. That said, if you were to take Cade at 55% ownership, cut that down to 40, take Wemby at 28% ownership, bring that up to 40. I think that's a more reasonable way to play the slate. You're just trying to play, hey, these pay-up option guys hit a certain amount of the time. For Wemby, though, according to my sim data, he is only making a winning lineup 19% of the time. Devin Carter now questionable. Well, they don't want to play him, so he should be. Yeah, I don't know. Certainly that matters, but it's all going to change in Stokastic's data, but he shouldn't have gotten 30 minutes in the first place, and I think it's frustrating when it's not there. If I ever make my own minutes, it's going to be because of the death by 1,000 cuts being like, Devin Carter shouldn't have fucking 30 minutes. That's going to be the reason why. Stephon Castle, 12.5% ownership for him. Fields, not going to be there a lot, rather. I'm getting 14.4%. Of course, Stephon Castle, one of those guys I always like a little bit in my data, getting him at about 1.12 fantasy points per minute on the year. Good assist rate as well. Technically the best assist rate on the team at 33%. And really, to me, he's one of those guys that's just better than De'Aaron Fox at this point. And I've said before they even got Fox, like, you shouldn't have acquired him. They need it now for the way the NBA works, for like having Fox's salary, trading him somewhere else to get a guy they really want to be the number 2 to Wemby. Probably the way that'll go eventually. But I just think Castle's a better player, and he has the bigger upside generally. Unless Wemby's out, then Fox might soak up the usage. But with Wemby in, Castle can actually create assists, and Fox is just not doing that quite as well. And he's getting less usage than Castle too. So for Castle, prefer him the Fox. Both guys, though, pretty similar, I think, range of outcomes. And as much as like if Wemby doesn't hit, the odds of these guys, hitting is a little bit higher. And if the Spurs Detroit game somehow defense gets ignored between two good teams, Castle and Fox, they could maybe make a lineup alongside Wemby in those kind of situations. Nothing else of the Spurs looks good, though. Dylan Harper, 8% owned by the field. I got him at 2. Keldon Johnson, I'm at 2 as well. Just don't see it. But if you get those guys as one off in a lineup, it kind of is what it is on the 3-game slate. Top owned plays on the Detroit side. Cade at 55%. Talked about it already. Again, I feel like just getting 40% of Cade, 40% of Wemby, to me, would feel more comfortable. Jalen Duren, Fields at 24%. I'm getting 19. Not a huge stand for the field or me on Duren, but I think it's a tough matchup for him versus Wemby. That said, maybe he comes through. Asar Thompson, and he's been great on the year for what it's worth. I have to give Jalen Duren his flowers. 1.3 fantasy points minute is like a really impressive number. Just doesn't feel like the kind of matchup for him, but who knows? Asar Thompson, Fields at 20%. I'm getting 12. Thompson being a not great shooter who doesn't get a ton of usage at 17.5%. You're talking less usage than Tobias Harris, than Dennis Jenkins, than Ron Holland. It's embarrassing for Asar Thompson, even though he's not a good shooter. I don't get guys that really don't put up high usage super often, or, respectable usage even super often. Fields higher in Asar than I am. That's at a 5,400. If he gets some takeaways, maybe you can have upside. Tobias Harris, Fields at 15%. I'm getting 16 across my 100,000 contest sims. Think he's an okay play at 5,600. I would personally favor Tobias Harris to Asar Thompson. And that's what I'm doing in my data right now. Paul Reed, Fields at 12%. I'm at 19. Again, the minutes, Jalen Duren getting 28 minutes, Paul Reed getting 22. It doesn't make sense. That's 50 minutes between the two, and they're going to split 48. So one of those guys has to come down. My guess is that Paul Reed comes down. Frankly, I think his minutes projection should be like 18, and then Duren should be 29.5 or something, which would make Duren look better, Reed look worse, obviously. But I think Duren's an okay value. He could be a lot better value, though, or Paul Reed, rather, is a good value, but would be a lot better value if Duren gets in foul trouble. Sacramento and Memphis, 232.5 combined points here. Kings getting 114.5 implied on their side. So we got the downgraded Devin Carter. We'll see what happens there. Like I mentioned, I just think the minutes are off here. He shouldn't be a 62% play. That said, if he does play 30 minutes today, I think he will put up a projection or a number similar to 33.7 in my projection set here. Maxime Reynaud, Keegan Murray, they should be guaranteed mid-20s, potentially 30 minutes in the spot. Don't think, though, it's guaranteed 34.5, 33 minutes for these guys. If you are going to give them that many minutes, they're going to be unavoidable, and right now they are. The Field's at 55% Reynaud, I'm getting 64. Field's at 53% Keegan Murray, I'm getting 54. I think if you drop those minutes a little bit to where I feel like they should be, those guys won't be quite as much of a half your lineups play. Malik Monk, really think that he should get more minutes and Carter should get less. To me, just what they did last game, we went through the rotation earlier. If you want to skim backwards, I think Malik Monk's going to play more minutes than Devin Carter moving forward, at least for the short term right now, because those GMs, the reports were they got, if not the fear of God put into them by Adam Silver, and a lot of people said it was the most David Stern-like situation it was, with him doing a call with all the GMs to talk about tanking and how, this like looking for solutions, but also telling them like it's not going to be acceptable to do what they're doing this year moving forward. To see the Kings flip their rotation as they did last game after that, it just seems pretty deliberate to me, so just not buying the Carter minutes. I think Monk should get more, and that would make Monk a better play, and frankly, look like one of the better values in the slate at 4,600. Devin Carter, downgraded to questionable. Obviously, if he doesn't play, he won't be a play. If he does play, I just don't think these minutes are correct, and I've said that enough already. And that's it. To me, he needs to start to trust Devin Carter's minutes. Like, he straight up didn't play the last game until blowout time. So I think you need to keep that context in mind, and I would not load up on Devin Carter, even though that's what we got naturally with the data here. Precious to 2 and 11% play for the field. I have him at 2%. Not really a play for me. Nick Clifford, another guy, is getting minutes upticks, but it really hasn't produced well at only 0.66 fantasy points minute. He's 6% owned by the field. I'm getting 1. He is priced for... He does not deserve a $5,400 price tag. He's just not that player right now. But the minutes are there for him, much like they are Keegan Murray, much like they are Reynaud, and much like they might be for one of the guards, but probably not Devin Carter this much. Carter's minutes receding faster than his hairline. That's rough. That's rough. Memphis Grizzlies, 118 implied points here. So Ty Jerome, Q tag could be an important thing. Actually, it's a very important thing no matter what. If he's out, though, Could be an important thing to note because you're going to need to swap a bunch of Grizzlies around. That said, right now, Walter Clayton, the highest owned Grizzly, 48% for the field. I'm getting 42. Javon Small, 44% for the field. I'm getting 28. If Ty Jerome is out, both these guys look better. So something to keep in mind here. They would probably then, for me, be half my lineup kind of plays at that point. Omax, our thumbnail guy, again, if you didn't recognize that beautiful face, 36% owned by the field. I'm getting 44. His minutes, unlike the guards, if Ty Jerome is in, like the guards' minutes, you got to roll the dice. There's some question marks there. For Omax, there's no question marks about his minutes because they just don't have big guys to go to. And Omax is technically one of their bigger guys. So Omax right now, 44% play for me, fields at 36. Ty Jerome, if he goes, think he'll get less ownership than this 30% expected. That said, his minutes coming up here, Stokastic giving him 19 minutes in the data set, but he should play about 22 based on what he did on Saturday. Ty Jerome, I think if he goes, want to be above the field on that. If he doesn't go, though, then getting more Clayton and Small will be the move, and perhaps more Scottie Pippen as well. GG Jackson, fields at 25%. I'm getting 35. Looks like a solid play as well for a guy that's really not played as many minutes as I thought he would with all the bigs being gone, but he's productive and he's getting enough minutes. Taylor Hendricks, another guy who can play more. Seems like he's only played well in that one game, the revenge game versus the Jazz. That said, at 4,100, he is playing enough minutes that he can have an upside if he actually does anything out there, but only putting up 0.74 fantasy points minute on the year. Fields at 23%, I'm getting 15. Scottie Pippen, like we talked about, will look better if Ty Jerome is out. That said, he might also be minutes limited, so not sure how much better that can get. Fields at 19% on Scottie Pippen Jr. I'm getting 13. And Jalen Wells, still playing a lot of minutes, just not doing a ton out there necessarily. Fields at 18%, I'm at 19. Do you think he can do a little bit more? His usage at 19% is not bad, but he kind of needs to run hot and rebounds, assists, or steals, and if he doesn't do that, he's not going to get there. So Jalen Wells, not a priority play. Shout out Jim for joining here. I don't know, double Jims here, but shouts to Jim for joining. I don't think Spencer is lowest on the very tall guard totem pole. I don't know what they're doing with him. It's odd that he didn't start that last time out for the Grizzlies on Friday, I think it was, when Ty Jerome was out. They have too many guards. Like, is really the big thing here. So game to game, I don't know what's going to happen. Looking through this last game here, Cam Spencer played 20 minutes off the bench. That was on Saturday. The game before that, the back-to-back on Friday. Cam Spencer also played 20 minutes off the bench, so really not much variance on the minutes. Pippen didn't play the front end of the back-to-back, played 20 minutes as well. I think Pippen and Cam Spencer might just be stuck playing 20 minutes. And Javon Small's minutes can go up. Meshack's minutes can go up. That'd be my guess just looking at it, but it is just a guess, and that's the shitty part that we have to keep doing this. To keep doing the charade. The good news is by the time we get to like actual tanking season, I think we're gonna know like what the rotations look like, but like it's still really dice rolly right now. And Memphis, I don't think got the same memo that the Kings got from that GM call. It's like what I'm reading from the rotations as well. Utah, the Rockets last game of the slate here. All the tanking really flusters me, man. It's just so fucking hard. It makes my brain break. It's just another layer of things you have to get right in the parlay of NBA. And the Carter shit on Saturday really annoyed me. Jazz at Houston, though, 228.5 combined points. Jazz, no Nurkic, but Markkanen going to play today. It looks like Keontae George, a Q-tag. He's in the data set, though. So it does make everybody look a lot worse. Tough matchup, and because of the fact you're getting Markkanen back in, you got all these guys priced up a little bit. Nobody looks good here. So 4% ownership for Bailey. I got 1. Filipowski, 3% ownership for me. Or for the field, rather, I'm getting 1. Collier, I have 6%. The field's at 2. He is one of our top projected guys, technically. And I guess the one good thing for him is he'll play no matter who's out there. But yeah, he's really expensive still, is Collier at 8K. And getting Keontae George in is definitely not great for him. I don't see how you play anything from the Jazz, really, but the fact that they're entirely unknown, nobody on the team above 5% ownership, if something hits here, that could win you a tournament, but like, Markkanen's going to be minutes limited, you would think. Sensabaugh's too expensive. Keontae George will definitely be minutes limited. Collier, more expensive than Keontae. It's a tough scene. I don't think there's a lot playable here. If I were to play, and I hate this guy too. Like, I hate Ace Bailey, but Ace Bailey keeps steady usage. He'll be hurt by Markkanen being back in, but he'll get his run. He'll keep getting shots up. Maybe, And Houston will probably try to defend other players more. I feel like it's one of those things where Houston can just go like, yeah, we'll let Ace Bailey beat us if that's a possibility, and he won't. So that's not a reason to play a guy. think it's how I feel about Ace Bailey here. Rockets 121 implied points on their side. Şengün is going to be your highest on Rocket at 50%. I have 55. Talked about the reasons why earlier. His projection is close enough to Cade and Wemby, so spending down a little bit more, getting a more balanced build, I think seems logical on the slate. Kevin Durant, though, has been the bigger winner since Burnergate, 34% ownership for the field. I'm getting 32. Durant, though, not goosing the rates or anything for him with the most recent 2 games. It's not a big enough sample size to worry about. That said, visually, that said, results-wise, Şengün getting usage that last game, but definitely the rebounding, assists being a little more aggressive for Durant. And those categories, not great things for Şengün, are great things for Durant if he keeps it up. Reed Shepherd, fields at 25%. I have 32. He looks like a decent value to me at 4,700. Reed Shepherd, though, was a little bit more favorable in my data. Today he's a 26 projection for me, about 24.9 for Stokastic. Shooting guard, Tari Eason, which he's absolutely not. 20% owned by the field. I'm getting 21. Another guy can contribute some peripherals, much like Amin Thompson. Jabari Smith, I'm getting 29%. Fields 17. Not a big Jabari guy, but the total's good for the Rockets, and they're facing Houston. So embracing the variability on the Rocket side, going to be definitely a tournament strategy for me today. And Amin Thompson makes 22% of my lineups in the fields at 11. I would say in particular to me, Eason, Jabari, Amin Thompson, not great projection plays, but under-owned for their tournament winning ceilings. Şengün, Durant, to me, more than appropriately owned. And Reed Shepherd, a little bit under-owned, but I think the 25% number is pretty fair. Even Ace Bailey's mother would find him a tough flick in DFS. Ace Bailey had a lot of fans in college, man. I know looking through the numbers after the season ended and going to the NBA draft, he's not my kind of guy. He's not a good shooter. Had usage, but not even as much usage as like a pure gunner does, because he's really not that good of a scorer. But he's got length. If he gets better, it'll get better, I guess. All right, let's look at my sim data real fast, guys. Actually, before we do that, one quick run through all the things you can see for yourself if you join splashplaypodcast.com. Of course, all these things update as the day goes on. You're getting a good look right now at 2 p.m., but things are going to move around pretty meaningfully in Stokastic's minutes, let alone just who's available and who's not as the day goes on. But of course, if you join the Squirt Squad tier there, you get this screen, the matchup screen you just saw. You also get this matrix screen here, which I'll take out Stokastic's data and zoom out. So you can see it here. Great way to hand build lineups. You can sort by any of these data points, my projection, the value, fantasy points per minute, sim exposure, or across 100,000 contest sims again. You can also see my projections if you're on the VIP tier. Exportable. You can copy paste them to wherever you want. If you're running whatever optimizers, they should all work fine with a copy paste in here or the CSV export. Simulation data as well across 100,000 contest sims, which I'm going to show you guys in a minute. You get this as part of the VIP tier, and an export for Stokastic of all the data. You get that for yourself as well. So lots of good things when you join at splashplaypodcast.com. So check it out. In particular, VIP tier will give you the most bang for your buck. And not only for NBA, but for MLB coming up soon. For NFL, it's all one price tag. For this year, we're rolling it out together. So join down below, support the show, and support what I'm doing here. Trying to keep you guys in the loop with everything I'm doing gambling-wise across all these sports. All right, sim data here across my 100,000 contest sims. Raynaud's the number one guy, 64% sim exposure. Again, the minutes should come down a little bit, but he'll look decent. Don't think quite that much, though, of a sim exposure will be coming up when they drop his minutes like the 30 or so. I'd say it should be the max. Devin Carter, think his minutes are too high as well, and now he might not play with that Q tag downgrade. But if he were to play 30 minutes here, he'd be about a 62% sim play. Alperen Şengün at number 3 at 55%. Instead of Keegan Murray, whose minutes should be secure, even though there's no guarantee that he does play the 35 whatever minutes that Stokastic has given him. 30-plus guys, or guys who score 30-plus the most. Wemby, number 1, does it 100% of the time. Şengün, same thing. Cade Cunningham, 99% of the time. Wemby, 40-plus the most, leads the way as well, 91% of the time. Cade Cunningham does it 84% of the time. And Alperen Şengün, 81%. 50-plus the most is Cade. Cade leads the way there at 52% of the time. He's scoring more than 50 fantasy points on the slate. Wembanyama, 47% of the time. He does it. And then Şengün, 30% of the time, just ahead of Kevin Durant at 18. And the guys who score 60-plus the most, Cade at 24%, Wemby at 10, Şengün at 5, Durant at 3, Amin Thompson at 2. Amin Thompson has a real ceiling. That standard deviation is pretty high for him. Guys who 5x the most, Devin Carter. Again, I just don't know the minutes will be there. Paul Reed, 81% of the time. Raynaud, 81% of the time. Ty Jerome right behind. Devin Carter, 6x is the most, 69% of the time. Raynaud, 47. Clayton, 46. Reed Shepherd right behind at 40. Tied with Javon Small. Let's do a Stokastic sim next. Again, no matter what you're doing over there, you're going to get a good read on things with Stokastic data. So let's switch over here and let's build this out. And we got 5,000 lineups being built here. But you guys know the deal here. I got to ask for it. Hit that like button and subscribe. You guys have been doing a great job hitting that like button for me here. Help me fight the good fight on YouTube. And as a result, getting over 2K views every video lately. So please keep doing that. Let's keep growing. The goal is to get to now. We've passed 2K. Let's get to 2,500 views next, 3K views. But we can only do that by you guys hitting that like button. Because when you hit that like button, YouTube knows that we should show the video to more people like you. So please do that down below. Support my quest here as I keep showing up and doing the work Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. Of course, check out Stokastic as well. All their data will update as the day goes on. It did update as of 2:39 p.m., so it should be pretty hot off the presses here. But there will be more updates too, so check it out for yourself. Stokastic 15% off with the promo code SPLASH. Big way I'm able to do what I do. So you guys signing up over there and getting the best idiot-proof, great DFS lines for yourself every single day over at Stokastic. And last but not least, in fact, some could say last but also most, SplashPlayPodcast.com. That's my site. Check it out for yourself. Shout out to all you guys that have signed up so far, but more of you guys should. In particular, the VIP package will carry you a lot through NBA, soon through MLB, soon through NFL as well. But also just supporting the show there, getting great data for yourself at SplashPlayPodcast.com. It's going to be an important part of things. If you enjoy what you see on screen here, all those things can be available at your fingertips, updated throughout the night. So check it out for yourself at SplashPlayPodcast.com. All right. Top ROI lineups according to Stokastic. We got Cade Cunningham. Devin Carter still making it. What do they touch this fucker's minutes? Let's see. They're giving Devin Carter more minutes now. He was in for 30 minutes before, and they boosted him to 34 minutes. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. I'm on Live Before Lock, by the way, this week, guys. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for NBA filling in. And I gotta say, if the minutes fucking look like this on those shows, it's gonna be uncomfortable because I'm gonna be like, what are we doing minutes-wise, guys? But Cade Cunningham, Devin Carter, Omax makes his top ROI lineup. Alperen Sengun, Paul Reed, Scottie Pippen Jr., Jalen Wells, Maxime Reynaud. So a bunch of players that we're not surprised by given the data we see on the slate. I just really question the Devin Carter part, and I really question the Reynaud part, too, to some extent. Number two, not to the same extent as Carter. The Carter part, I think, is bullshit. The Reynaud part, he'll play minutes. I just don't think he's going to play 35. Cade Cunningham at number two. Walter Clayton, Omax, again. Keegan Murray makes this one. Paul Reed makes it again. Devin Carter makes it again. Kevin Durant makes it. Ty Jerome makes it. Happy to see Ty Jerome here. The Carter dedication, though, going to be hard to avoid if they don't change that projection. What are we talking about for Killian Hayes? They signed Patrick Baldwin. I don't know anything about Killian Hayes. Like you mentioned Killian Hayes earlier, and I've not seen anything about Killian Hayes being available today. I think Baldwin might be. But I guess, yeah, they signed him yesterday. I don't know if it cleared yet. He's not in the player pool. But yeah, I don't think Killian Hayes matters on the slate, though, for what it's worth. He would matter as it relates to, like, maybe potentially taking minutes away from Carter. But they also, frankly, they might have signed Hayes yesterday, because if the signing, it just depends, I guess, on the timing. But Carter played the blowout run on Saturday. So maybe he was banged up. Then they knew he was hurt. Now he got downgraded today. So then they brought in Hayes because they needed more guard depth. That's possible. But I don't know. Killian Hayes sucks. So like or has sucked historically. Maybe he'll be better now. Guys being off the NBA for a little bit, building up some reps in the G League can help. But I don't think Killian Hayes matters himself in the slate. And I don't even know if he's going to be available as a player on the slate because they already updated once today. Number three here, you got Cade, Walter Clayton, Omax, Gigi Jackson, Paul Reed, Scottie Pippen, Alperen Sengun, Maxime Reynaud. So Reynaud coming up everywhere. Not a surprise. Omax coming up everywhere as well. Number four, you have Cade again. Cade's in all these lineups. Devin Carter, Omax, Taylor Hendricks makes this one. Paul Reed, Walter Clayton makes this one. Sengun and Jalen Duren. So Reed and Duren together, huh? Okay. Number five, Cade Cunningham, Walter Clayton again. Keegan Murray, Alperen Sengun, Maxime Reynaud, Ty Jerome, Omax, and Javon Small. So you didn't get Devin Carter in all of them, but you did get him in 3 out of the top 5. Cade Cunningham in 5 out of the top 5. Omax in 5 out of the top 5. Might be a dupe fest if Stokastic data is correct today. Your top ROI players across all of the lineups here. You got Paul Reed, number 1 at a 12% ROI. Scottie Pippen, number 2. Negative numbers, but it doesn't matter. We care about the way the direction is pointing for the ROIs. Walter Clayton at number 3. Omax, number 4. despite being very chalky in Stokastic data. And Cade Cunningham, number 5. So Cade Stokastic really feels like is your pay-up option to go to, it seems. All right, so it's Stokastic data, and the update they just did. Devin Carter makes 94% of lineups, 82% exposure. This won't be the same when things lock. Really important day, I think, to not take this video. Like, take what I'm telling you at face value, but don't take this data at face value. Don't just go loading up on Devin Carter because, like, number one, he might not play with a downgrade. Number two is I just think this data is going to look really different when we get to lock. But 94% owned by the field. They're giving you 82%. Walter Clayton, 40% owned by the field. Stokastic's giving you 67. This might not move, and it actually might come up more if Ty Jerome is out. So Walter Clayton, I would say, wheels up. This is going to look the same no matter what. Cade Cunningham, 49% owned play. They're giving you 63 across your top 150 lineups. So Cade above the field here. I do think trying to build balance to me still appeals, but Cade, they're saying load up on. Alperen Sengun, 51% owned by the field in Stokastic data. They're giving you 63, so above the field on Sengun. Just out of curiosity. On Wemby, they're low on. 30% owned by the field, 19% exposure. And Maxime Reynaud, last of the top 5 here, 52% owned by the field, and they want to get 59. Pretty similar to Keegan Murray, who's 54% owned by the field, and they want to get 54. Your highest leverage plays. It's probably by the lack of Houston. You got Sengun, I guess, but yeah. Not a lot of Houston. Paul Reed, 8% owned by the field. They want you to get 45. That's 37% leverage. Do you think Paul Reed's a decent play? But I just think you can't give these guys any extra minutes. Let's see. Player contains Duren. They're giving Duren 27 minutes. They're giving Reed 21. So they just actually came down on Duren's minutes and went up on Reed's. All right, so that's why they like Paul Reed so much. That makes more sense. Walter Clayton, 27% leverage on him. We saw the numbers already. 67% exposure. Fields at 40. Omax, 18% exposure, more than the field. You're getting 53% exposure. Fields at 35. Scottie Pippen Jr. Numbers will come up a little bit if Ty Jerome is out. 17% leverage on him. Fields at 17%, and you're getting 34. And then Cade Cunningham, 14% leverage for him. You're getting 63% exposure across Stokastic's top 150, and the Fields at 49. Your most negative leverage play is Javon Small, negative 20% leverage. It's only a 13% exposure amount here across their top 150 lineups, and the Fields at 32. Think that'll look different if Ty Jerome is out. Kevin Durant, negative 18% leverage, only 19% exposure on him. Devin Carter, negative 12% leverage on him, but he's still making 82% of the lineups. Just think this is a really important part of the slate that's going to change when they update fully. Victor Wembanyama, negative 11% leverage, only 19% exposure, Fields at 30. And Taylor Hendricks, negative 8% exposure, or negative 8% leverage rather. That's 13% exposure, in the Fields at 21. Now, let's do this hand build here. I feel like if I don't play Devin Carter now, it's going to shit all over my lineups, but that's okay. All right. Devin Carter is the boogeyman in Stokastic data currently. It's just frustrating to me because, like, I know something they're going to catch later, and it's like, so I have to do the entire slate, and, I don't want to give you guys the wrong info. It's always the most important thing to me is give you guys the most, as close as I can to what it's going to look like at lock. Obviously, in NBA, there's no guarantees on anything, and in fact, quite the opposite usually. But I just don't think this Carter shit's going to hold. He'll still be an okay play. He'll be like a 25% play if he goes. You shouldn't be like an every lineup play, getting a 35-minute projection. So, I'm going to fade Devin Carter in this lineup I build right now. I will go for now Ty Jerome at point guard. But frankly, I could make the case to fade him as well. You know what? Let's not play Ty Jerome. Let's go Walter Clayton at point guard. I'll lean into what I talked about earlier in the video, where watching that last game did feel like Ty Jerome was getting a ton of possessions gobbled up by Walter Clayton. It did go back Ty Jerome's way as the game went on, so maybe that's something I should be looking into more. But starting that game, man, Clayton was just playing Clayton ball out there. I don't think it's great for Ty Jerome if he plays, but I'm also kind of thinking Ty Jerome won't play, so that's part of why I don't want to put him in the lineup right now. I'm going to go Reed Shepherd at shooting guard. Do you think if we got Ty Jerome out, Javon Small would be a logical play here, where we go Javon Small point guard, Walter Clayton shooting guard? For right now, though, those guys are in the data set, so we're just going to kind of play the guys that will look better, but look good now, but maybe look better later on today. And Reed Shepherd, I think, still a good value no matter what goes on today. Small forward, my highest sim small forward would be Keegan Murray. Number 2 would be Omax. I can play Keegan at power forward, so let's play Omax at small forward. Go Keegan power forward. Center. It's center's Raynaud with the amount of minutes Stokastic has given him. Let's go Raynaud here. And I do question those minutes a little bit, but I do think he'll get you 25 to 28 minutes outside shot at 30 plus. But if they're getting him 35 minutes, that's where things are. That's where we're in disagreement on. Guard I'd put with this stuff with 8,200 left per spot. I think this is where you just go to Cade Cunningham, right? Sims will reward us for it. And Cade does have the best projection on the slate, obviously. Do I play Wemby with him and just fade the Piston centers? Let's see. I don't think I can afford Wemby. I know it's going to look good for us by playing Wemby. We got 3,400 left for a forward. It gives us Patrick Baldwin, Carter Bryant, Svi Mikhailuk. What a murderer's row at forward here. So this is why you can't play Cade and Wemby. Okay. What if we don't play Raynaud? Play Wemby instead. You know, when I was looking through the ownership, I really thought people would force in Cade and Wemby stacks. But I don't think they will naturally, at least with Stokastic data, because the guys are getting forced to make it impossible to play these two together, it seems. Let me sort by value here. All right, guard. No real good values of guard. I guess Scottie Pippen would be a player who looks okay now and will look better if Ty Jerome is out. Let's put him in at utility. I don't think it's a Meshack day right now with Jerome still in the data, but Pippen's already a 5x guy even with Jerome in the data. So that's my logic for not Meshack here. 4,600 left. Malik Monk's not a forward. Otherwise, I would absolutely go Malik Monk here. Precious? Awful. I don't like Precious or anything. I'm going to put him in here because I think he'll help us finish the lineup. Let's go large contests, 25% to first. The team we're building out here, Walter Clayton, Reed Shepard, Omax, Keegan Murray, Wemby and Cade, Achua, and Scottie Pippen. 7% ROI is positive. I just don't think it likes Wemby is the issue. Here, let's see how I would complete it. I bet if I put Raynaud in, put Raynaud in and let it complete. Şengün, and of course, Devin Carter. It's got to jam in Devin Carter. So this lineup is Clayton, Reed Shepard, Omax, Keegan Murray, Raynaud, Cade, Alperen Şengün, Devin Carter. 43% ROI, 0.2% win rate. Yeah, it's honestly really hard to give you guys the full scope of the slate because of the way that they're representing Devin Carter right now. I just think the sim will not reward you unless you play him, and that's probably not the way it's going to go tonight for real. But lots going to change as the slate goes on, guys. I'm going to tell you guys some things you can do to prepare accordingly. But before I do that, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Of course, I'm going to give you guys my splash plays for the day in one moment, but I've been here all hour long. In fact, a 3-game slate did a 57-minute video. Some could say too long of a video for a 3-game slate, but I show up and do the work as thoroughly as best I can Monday to Fridays at 2 p.m. That is a promise I make to you guys, a commitment I make to you guys all NBA season long. So please show some love back by hitting that like button and subscribing here. Of course, check out Stokastic as well. There's sim data available to you right now, 15% off with that promo code SPLASH. Sims, any tool they have really, any data product they have as well. Weekly, monthly, even yearly, 15% off the promo code SPLASH. So please do check them out. Again, you want to build good lineups, make it as idiot-proof as possible for you to get the players you want and still make them good. Use Stokastic data. Guys keep putting 100K on there with their tools and data, and I'd be a fool to not direct you there as the first place you should look to do anything. Second place you should look, though, should be splashplaypodcast.com. That's where all the data I showed you guys here on screen will be updated. And trust me, if Devin Carter gets his minutes docked by a little bit, things are going to look a little bit different for Stokastic. So when they update things, I update things. I'm rerunning Sims all night, updating data whenever I have to. That's the promise here because I'm doing it for my lineups too. So join down below at splashplaypodcast.com. Cheaper than YouTube now. And also, good deal for you. I get more money. You save money. Real win-win by joining splashplaypodcast.com right now if you can. All right, splash plays for the day. All right, so look, I just don't buy the Devin Carter thing. That's it. It's the way I'm feeling about it. If you get him starting and fucking not Westbrook and Malik Monk is out, then yeah, we'll play Devin Carter. But if Westbrook is active, Monk is active, I do not buy the Devin Carter thing. I do buy Walter Clayton as being one of the better, value plays in the slate. I'm cool with that. I think if Ty Jerome plays, I do want to be there too. Might be reluctant to play them together a bunch, but if it happens, it happens. I think you can live with that. Say another guard for me, Javon Small will look better if you get Ty Jerome out. Still vaguely playable with him in. Scottie Pippen will look better if Ty Jerome is out. So really, that guard spot, the guard morass for Memphis, all one big splash play for me. Whatever you get there, take it. Keegan Murray, I think, still a splash play. I just don't buy the Raynaud minutes quite as much, but I think it's still going to be a shitty center slate. He's a splash play. Şengün to be my pay-up option guy. And Omax. That's enough to get you started, hopefully. But it's a dog shit slate, guys. Keep your eyes peeled for data on splashplaypodcast.com. Watch Stokastic later. I'm not in their shows today, but watch it later because I'm sure things will be updated. They'll have great conversation about it later on because you might need it today on the slate. Gamble responsibly, guys, even though it is always money time here on the Splash Play channels. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Bets. Of course, I'll be back again tomorrow at 2 p.m. for more. So I'll see you guys again soon there. And yeah, enjoy your day, guys. Again, if you're in Snowtown like I am, hopefully you got the shoveling done. You're good to go. If you are in no daycare town like I am as well, hopefully you'll have a good time with your kid for the next couple hours like I will. But I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck. And fuck Devin Carter. Fuck it all. Burn it down. All right. Bye, guys. Bye, guys.